What this does is allow you, again, to create vacuum from compressed air. And once again, it requires very little air volume or pressure. The volume is something less than 3 CFM, about 2 CFM actually should work fine, and the air pressure only wants to be between 55 and 60 pounds per square inch. This is set up with a simple toggle switch for an on-off. The regulator you simply turn to get the maximum vacuum available. When we turn this on, you'll see that we have on this a gauge which reads vacuum so that you can see exactly how much vacuum you are pulling. It's recommended that you have at least 12 inches of mercury showing on the needle to hold pieces sufficiently on the lathe. If you don't have sufficient vacuum, the piece could come off the lathe while you're turning. And this system should generate plenty of vacuum to hold pieces on the lathe. Alright, we've looked at the rotary adapter, we've looked at the vacuum generator, and now we're going to put the chuck on and actually put a bowl on here so you can see how this works. So the chuck just threads on, and in this case I can put this bowl on and hold it in this fashion, or I can also reverse it if I needed to do some work on the inside, if it had gotten damaged or something had happened, and I can do the same there. And again, very easy to put pieces on and to use them. One note, if you will see, as I put the piece on, you can actually see it settle into the gasket as the vacuum pulls it up into there. So it really does hold these pieces very, very securely on the machine. There you can see it springing back off. So you don't have to worry about turning a piece while it's held with vacuum. It really will hold those pieces very securely. Let's take a look at this small chuck now. We'll put it on. And it's good for holding bowls and things, just obviously on a smaller scale. Another thing where it can be really helpful is if you turn spheres. This will allow you to hold a piece in that process, and so now you can get at a big portion of this all at one time and then loosen it and move it around and manipulate it as you do in making spheres. So it's just another thing that can be done with this smaller chuck. We're going to take a look now at an accessory that we have to go with the chucks. And one problem that you might run into is if you do a natural edge bowl with an extremely long edge, it could be possible that it would actually come around and strike the headstock. So what we've done is made spindle extenders, which simply thread into the back of the chuck and then onto the spindle of the lathe so that it extends everything away from the headstock and allows you to turn deep pieces while being held with vacuum. As you can see with this piece now, it's not even close to the headstock and there would be no problem whatsoever. These extenders are available again in all spindle sizes. We have another accessory to take a look at. I've turned this bowl and now I'm ready to turn it around and turn off the tenon that I have holding it in the chuck. I'm going to take this adapter and it actually threads on to my tailstock, and the thread on the other end matches the spindle of my lathe. So now I can simply unscrew the chuck, turn it around, and actually thread it right on to this tailstock, and that is going to hold this so that it will be perfectly centered to the vacuum chuck when I thread it on this end. So I simply thread it on here, and now I can slide this tailstock forward, push it up on there, and then turn my vacuum on, and it will pull that chuck right up. And now I don't even want to lock the tailstock. I want to allow the vacuum to hold this piece, and then I simply can loosen the piece from the chuck, pull that away, and that piece will be held perfectly centered on that vacuum chuck. again, let's take a look at the basic components of this system. You have the rotary adapter, which allows you to get vacuum through the headstock. We have the chucks, the larger chuck, and then also the smaller chuck. And then we have the vacuum generator, which again supplies vacuum through compressed air. And these come with a regulator, as this one has, and then without a regulator, depending on your needs. Now let's take a look at a number of other accessories that go with the system. Some of the accessories that we have that go with this system are, again, spindle extenders so that we can move the chuck out away from the headstock for those bowls that are deeper. And then we also have the adapter which goes onto the tailstock for you to put the bowl on to align it when you're turning it around to turn the bottom off and center your piece on the vacuum chuck. And then we have a number of other adapters that if you buy a chuck that fits the spindle of your lathe now and you buy another lathe in the future that has a different spindle size, we have adapters which will allow you to simply thread this onto your new spindle and match your old spindle. So these come in many different varieties with all the various spindle sizes each way, up or down. Then we have available gasket sets, which are just simply replacement gaskets for the basic chuck. We also have a kit, which is simply gasket material and the glue to glue these to the chuck. If you build your own or want to do something special, you can also buy this material. And then we also have spindle washers, which keep the chucks from tightening onto the spindle and not coming off easily. And these are actually, one of these is included with each chuck when you buy those new, and we have those available as an accessory as well. And then we also have an air filter, and these are especially valuable if you have the vacuum generator. It actually goes into your air line, because if the air has moisture or dirt in it, it will foul the small openings inside the vacuum generator. So these are available to be sure that you've got clean air entering into that system. With all of these accessories and just with the basic system, you can do wonderful things with vacuum on the lathe, and it opens up endless opportunities for you.